In this lesson of modernism in world literature, we explore how the theories of Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung, particularly the concept of the collective unconscious, played a pivotal role in shaping modernist literature. These groundbreaking ideas fundamentally changed how psychological depth and subjectivity were portrayed in fiction. Instead of focusing solely on external events and realistic depictions of the world, psychoanalysis shifted the lens inward, emphasizing the hidden, often repressed psychological forces that drive human behavior. Freud's and Jung's psychoanalytic theories paved the way for a literary revolution, where the inner world of the individual became just as significant as the external one. Themes of dreams, suppressed desires, and psychological complexity took center stage, giving rise to a new kind of literature that delved into subjective human experience and reflected the fragmented, searching consciousness of the modern age. Imagine a world where unseen forces shape every thought, action, and desire. Beneath the calm surface of reason lies a roiling sea of repressed feelings, hidden traumas, and secret wishes. This is the landscape Sigmund Freud unveiled. The founder of psychoanalysis, Freud, 1856 to 1939, profoundly transformed how we understand the human mind and, by extension, how we interpret art and literature. He revealed that much of human behavior is driven by the unconscious, a realm filled with buried impulses that influence our lives without us even realizing it. What if dreams, mistakes, and slips of the tongue are not accidents but windows into this hidden world? Freud's psychoanalysis sought to expose these concealed processes through the interpretation of dreams, fantasies, and creative works. But what about literature itself? Could fiction be a symptom of the unconscious, expressing conflicts even the author does not fully grasp? Freud thought so. He saw literature as a gateway into the human psyche, revealing truths hidden beneath conscious awareness. Freud proposed that works of fiction, like dreams, encode repressed desires and unconscious conflicts. In his 1908 essay, Der Dichter und das Phantasieren, he argued that writers construct imaginative worlds much as children play, investing their creations with serious emotion and deep meaning. Through fantasy, authors bring hidden psychological truths to light, offering a rich terrain for analysis. Every novel or poem could be read like a dream, with symbols, fears, and longings woven into its structure. What if reading fiction is, in fact, an act of psychoanalysis? Freud's influence swept across the literary landscape of the early 20th century. Writers like James Joyce, Virginia Woolf, and D.H. Lawrence adopted his ideas to probe the fragmented, irrational depths of human consciousness. The stream of consciousness technique, central to modernist fiction, mirrors Freud's concept of free association, where thoughts drift without logic, guided by subconscious impulses. Peter Brooks notes that Freud opened up new narrative possibilities, allowing authors to place repressed emotions and psychological depth at the heart of storytelling. Freud's groundbreaking The Interpretation of Dreams, 1900, declared that dreams are the royal road to the unconscious. He argued that dreams are not random images, but coded messages from the mind's hidden depths, revealing repressed desires and internal conflicts. This was revolutionary. No longer dismissed as nonsense, dreams became essential to understanding the psyche. What if those fleeting, surreal visions hold the key to your deepest self? Freud's theory also shifted the way we think about literature. If dreams are structured by hidden processes, then stories, too, might reveal the unspoken. Modernist fiction embraced this insight, using narrative techniques that mirrored dream logic and symbolic complexity. According to Brooks, this connection between dream work and narrative transformed the way authors explored human consciousness. Central to Freud's ideas is the notion of the unconscious, a vast, inaccessible part of the mind where repressed desires, fears, and memories reside. Though hidden, the unconscious profoundly shapes thoughts and actions. Dreams act as a bridge, filled with symbols that offer a glimpse into this shadowy realm. Freud described the unconscious as chaotic and amoral, driven by raw instincts. Think of James Joyce's Ulysses or Virginia Woolf's Mrs. Dalloway, where characters' inner lives pulse with fragmented thoughts and submerged desires. Freud developed the concept of dream work to explain how dreams disguise forbidden thoughts. This process involves displacement, where emotional energy shifts from one object to another, less threatening symbol, and condensation, where multiple ideas or figures are combined into a single image. Malcolm Bowie observed that Freud's model of dream work offers a powerful tool for interpreting both dreams and the fragmented narratives of modernist fiction. Joyce's stream of consciousness blurs memory, fantasy, and reality, reflecting the mind's intricate transformations of repressed content. Freud believed dreams bristled with symbols carrying hidden meanings. Water often symbolizes emotions. Journeys represent life's path, or even death. In The Wasteland, 1922, T.S. Eliot weaves dreamlike sequences and dense symbolism into a tapestry of cultural despair. Joyce's Ulysses brims with symbolic layers, turning everyday events into mythic journeys. Freud's system of dream analysis provided a framework that helped modernist authors deepen the psychological complexity of their works. Freud's famous assertion in The Interpretation of Dreams still resonates. The interpretation of dreams is the royal road to the unconscious activities of the mind. Modernist writers followed this road, constructing narratives that, like dreams, reveal the psyche's intricate and unpredictable workings. Imagine cracking open the human mind and discovering a labyrinth of hidden desires, irrational fears, and unspoken longings. Sigmund Freud's psychoanalytic theories did exactly that, reshaping how modernist literature explored the complexities of the inner self. His groundbreaking focus on the unconscious, sexuality, and primal drives opened a new frontier where characters' inner lives became the true battlegrounds of fiction. Psychological depth became not just a feature but a defining force in modernist writing, where narrative experiments reflected Freud's insights into the mind's fragmented nature, dream work, and repressed desires. Peter Brooks captures it perfectly. Freud's emphasis on the unconscious opened up new narrative possibilities, where internal conflicts and buried impulses drove the very structure of storytelling. This shift toward interiority revolutionized literature, weaving psychoanalytic ideas into the form and fabric of modern fiction. Can you hear the torrent of thoughts rushing through your mind right now? Modernist authors sought to capture this flow using the stream of consciousness technique, directly inspired by Freud's concept of free association. Freud believed that the mind produces an endless stream of thoughts, some conscious, others buried deep, and modernist writers harnessed this dynamic to depict the chaotic, nonlinear experience of human subjectivity. James Joyce and Virginia Woolf pioneered this technique, using it to immerse readers in their characters' inner worlds. In Ulysses, Joyce plunges us into Leopold Bloom's day in Dublin, revealing a fragmented cascade of memories, sensory impressions, and fleeting desires. Bloom's thoughts do not follow a straight line. They dart between mundane observations and profound reflections, mirroring Freud's vision of the unconscious mind. Richard Ellman explains it best. Joyce employs stream of consciousness not merely as a stylistic choice, but to illustrate how unconscious desires shape a character's experience of reality. Freud's theories about the unconscious and the role of dreams in revealing hidden truths transformed how modernist writers approached character and plot. He taught us that dreams are coded messages from the unconscious, filled with repressed wishes and internal conflicts. Writers took this idea and ran with it, using dreams and reveries as windows into the secret depths of human consciousness. Virginia Woolf, steeped in Freudian thought, masterfully integrates these ideas into her works. In Mrs. Dalloway, characters are often swept away by daydreams and memories that surface unbidden. Woolf's narrative technique mirrors Freud's assertion that human experience is profoundly shaped by forces below the surface of awareness. Consider her portrayal of Septimus Warren Smith, a shell-shocked war veteran whose hallucinations and fractured reality blur the lines between past and present. His mental breakdown vividly illustrates Freud's concept of the collapse between conscious control and the chaotic surge of repressed trauma. In Mrs. Dalloway, the collision of memory and perception becomes a haunting symphony of the mind's deepest conflicts. What happens when you break the mold of traditional narrative? Freud offered modernist authors a blueprint for doing just that. By emphasizing dream work, free association, and the power of the unconscious, he gave writers tools to dismantle linear storytelling and create intricate, layered explorations of the psyche. Lionel Trilling observed that Freud provided modernists with a model for depicting the fractured, contradictory nature of human consciousness, where thoughts collide, meanings shift, and certainty dissolves. In the hands of Joyce and Woolf, Freud's theories reshaped the very structure of fiction. Linear plots gave way to the swirling complexities of subjective experience, where narratives mirrored the unpredictable flow of thought and feeling. Modernist literature, infused with psychoanalytic depth, became a realm where the mind's hidden workings took center stage. Freud's legacy wasn't just an influence, it was a revolution. Picture a vast, shared sea of human experience, where the myths and symbols of every culture float beneath the surface of conscious thought. This was Carl Jung's vision, a mindscape far deeper than Freud's individual unconscious. Jung, 1875-1961, once Freud's collaborator and later his rival, reshaped psychology with his concept of the collective unconscious, a reservoir of universal patterns he called archetypes. These primal symbols, the hero, the mother, the trickster, are woven into the fabric of myth, religion, and art across time and cultures. Modernist writers, striving to capture the fractured soul of the 20th century, turned to Jung's ideas to create works of profound psychological and symbolic complexity. Jung argued that the collective unconscious is filled with archetypes, universal figures and situations that repeat in stories and rituals around the world. Think of the hero embarking on a perilous journey, the nurturing mother figure, or the cunning trickster. These are not just cultural inventions, Jung insisted, but deep-seated elements of the human psyche. They express fundamental truths about life's trials and transformations. For modernist authors, Jung's archetypes offered a powerful framework for linking individual experience to broader, universal meanings. T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland, 1922, teems with mythic imagery drawn from the collective unconscious. The Fisher King and the Holy Grail, symbols of spiritual desolation and renewal, evoke post-war Europe's existential crisis. According to Jung, these myths mirror profound collective experiences buried within the unconscious mind. Eliot's use of fragmented form, combining ancient myths with a disjointed modern reality, perfectly illustrates the shattered psyche of modern life. Literary critic Michael Bell notes, Eliot's mythic method reflects a deep engagement with Jungian ideas about archetypes that shape human experience. Jung believed artists and writers serve as bridges between the personal and the collective mind. Their creative power reveals the symbols and archetypes otherwise hidden within the unconscious. In the chaotic, uncertain world of modernism, this role became more urgent than ever. Jung's concept of individuation, achieving self-knowledge through integration of unconscious content, resonated deeply with modernist authors, who viewed literature as a tool for excavating the soul and reconstructing meaning in a fragmented reality. For Jung, the artist was not merely an individual genius, but a vessel for the collective psyche, a shaman-like figure drawing forth universal truths. This vision transformed how modernist writers understood their creative mission. Their task was to build symbolic bridges, crafting narratives that explored the shared depths of human experience and offered glimpses of wholeness in an otherwise disjointed world. What drives human behavior beneath the polished veneer of social convention? Sigmund Freud peeled back the layers of consciousness to reveal a world where repressed desires and primal instincts shape every action. His theories on sexuality, the unconscious, and the Oedipus complex profoundly influenced modernist literature, where sexuality became a powerful lens to explore personal conflict, societal hypocrisy, and the complex, contradictory depths of human psychology. Imagine a literature where characters' inner lives pulse with the tension between desire and restraint, their identities forged in the crucible of suppressed impulses. Freud believed that sexual repression was a central cause of neuroses and psychological imbalance. For modernist writers grappling with a world of rigid morals and stifling conventions, his theories offered a radical new way to depict inner conflict and social critique. Sexuality, far from being a taboo subject, became a key to unlocking human identity and challenging societal norms. In Lady Chatterley's Lover, D.H. Lawrence harnesses Freud's influence to depict sexuality as a pathway to self-discovery and liberation. Lady Constance Chatterley's awakening through her affair with the gamekeeper Oliver Mellors is a journey from emotional numbness to sensual vitality. Lawrence uses their relationship to confront the barriers of class, convention, and Victorian prudishness. The novel vibrates with Freudian energy. The body and its instincts are no longer shameful but a source of truth and wholeness. Sexuality becomes a rebellion against moral hypocrisy and a reconnection with nature and authenticity. Lawrence presents sexual freedom as a means of breaking the chains of social repression. Through Constance's affair, he dismantles the societal codes that trap individuals in spiritual sterility. Freud's belief that repressed drives lead to alienation and suffering resounds throughout the novel. As literary critic Kate Millett argues, Lawrence challenges Victorian views of sexuality by portraying it as central to personal and psychological health, echoing Freud's conviction that sexual energy is a vital force in human life. Freud's theory of the Oedipus complex, the child's unconscious desire for the opposite-sex parent and rivalry with the same-sex parent, became a cornerstone of modernist explorations of family, identity, and sexuality. What happens when these primal desires collide with societal and religious constraints? James Joyce's A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man lays bare the inner turmoil of Stephen Dedalus as he wrestles with his Catholic upbringing, sexual awakening, and artistic ambitions. His relationships with his parents reflect Freudian themes, an intense, conflicted attachment to his mother, and a love-hate struggle with his father. These tensions embody the Oedipal drama Freud described. Joyce transforms Stephen's personal crisis into a broader critique of institutional authority and individual freedom. Hugh Kenner notes how Joyce's portrayal of Stephen's psychic conflict mirrors Freud's ideas of repressed sexuality and parental influence, revealing the profound impact of familial dynamics on identity formation. Freud exposed how societal repression of sexuality leads to psychological dysfunction, a theme that modernist writers seized upon to critique moral double standards. Beneath the polished surface of propriety lies a seething cauldron of forbidden longings. In Mrs. Dalloway, Virginia Woolf navigates the hidden undercurrents of desire and repression. Clarissa Dalloway's youthful passion for Sally Seton contrasts sharply with her restrained, passionless marriage to Richard. Freud's insights into repressed desire echo in Clarissa's reflections, as Woolf portrays the tension between societal expectation and personal truth. The spark of same-sex attraction, fleeting yet profound, disrupts the rigid structures of social convention. Sexuality in Woolf's hands becomes a force that breaks through the layers of control, revealing the human soul's longing for authenticity and freedom. Freud's legacy in modernist literature opened doors to new ways of understanding character, conflict, and identity. His exploration of the mind's dark, unspoken realms gave writers the tools to chart the murky waters of repression, desire, and the fractured self, forever transforming the landscape of fiction. Freud's theories about sexuality did more than add depth to individual characters. They transformed modernist literature, offering new ways to understand and depict internal conflicts, repression, and the development of identity. By introducing concepts like the unconscious, sexual drives, and the Oedipus complex, Freud gave modernist writers the tools to probe the complexities of the human psyche. His impact was not limited to psychology. It stretched across the arts, reshaping how stories were told and how characters were understood. So as we consider Freud's influence on literature, let's ask ourselves, how does sexuality shape our understanding of who we are? How does it challenge the social boundaries we live within? For Freud, and for the modernist writers who embraced his ideas, sexuality was not just a biological drive, it was a key to unlocking the secrets of the mind, a force that could reveal the deepest layers of human experience. Freud's impact extended far beyond the therapist's couch. It reached into the pages of literature, offering readers a way to see beyond the surface and explore the tangled, often conflicting desires that define us all. In our next lesson of modernism in world literature, we'll delve into the avant-garde movement, with a special focus on Dadaism, a pivotal force in pushing the boundaries of modernism and redefining how literature is perceived. Thank you for joining today's session. I look forward to seeing you next time.